Hello and welcome to domytriesthis. I hope you brought your cuppa. Today's coffee mug is a Christmas coffee mug from my oldest daughter that is made for loose tea. It has this neat little lid, and then inside it has a steeper. Let's see if I can do this without burning myself. It has a steeper for the tea. As you can see, our tea is nice and steamy hot. So I'm going to set this lid to the side, the steeper to the side. Resting it on top of my lid so it doesn't get water all over my table here. Anyway, today's tea is David's Tea Just Beet It. This was my first experience with David's tea, and I really do enjoy it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a taste, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Nice and hot. Okay, it's really mild right now. It needs more time to steep, I think. You can barely get it. It's a really nice sweet tea when it's up to full strength. But it just started steeping. So we're going to give it some more time. I'm going to put our steeper back in and put our lid back on and just let it all sit and do its thing. So today we are doing a one palette review. I have been working with the palette all month long. One of the looks that, the look that we will work on later today that I will show you, this look here is based off or inspired by a art print from Amy Brown, one of my favorite artists on the net, and I will have her linked down below for you. And anyway, so we'll be doing that every month. I will have one palette that I'll be working with as a solo palette and with other palettes all month long. And the look that I will do for when I actually review it will be based on an Amy Brown print. The Amy Brown print that I choose for that month actually determines the palette that I'll be using. I have already picked my palette and my print for February, but we will reveal that one in just a minute. For January, my palette was the Urban Decay Elements palette. This palette was part of their holiday release. I did wait for it to go on clearance, and as far as I know, it is currently sold out both on Sephora and at Urban Decay. However, I have palettes that are 2 or 3 years old that were limited edition that you can find in other places. So if you just want to do a search for the Urban Decay Elements palette, I'm sure you can find it somewhere if you decide you want it. And I do know that at least one of my 2-year-old palettes can be found on like Hoola or Poshmark or places like that. Just be careful when you're trying to buy because it can be easy for them to give you a dupe or something that is not actually the palette, and you want to be safe. So anyway, on to the palette. So some basic thoughts about the palette right now. I actually like this palette. This palette to me is a bit of a throwback to the old Urban Decay before L'Oreal purchased it. After L'Oreal purchased it, we started to see a decline in innovation and quality and things like that, and it was rather disappointing. Urban Decay is one of the first high-end luxury brands that I really started to enjoy when I got back into makeup 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. My daughter had given me some things for Christmas, and yeah, so, but Urban Decay was the first one that I purchased that I ended up really falling in love with. So I was really disappointed when the quality went down. I am a lot more cautious about buying their products now precisely because of those issues. However, this one seems to be a throwback to the more the indie side of the brand as when it started. As you can see, it's got a number of beautiful colors. It's got our greens. It's got it's got a blue. We'll go with a blue. It has a lot of browns. So I'm going to start off with the color story. I generally like the color story. I do wish that we're talking elements. So for me, that's air, water, earth, fire. And we do have some earth in the greens and in all the browns. And we do have the water down here. And I guess this can qualify as a water as well. And we have some fire colors with these lighter colors. However, I think that this pink is kind of out of place. They should have had something a bit more orangey, a bit more bright, or maybe even a yellow in there. Although, to be fair, yellows can be kind of hard, and perhaps they used this gold as their replacement for their yellow. I don't know. But to me, they were missing an element with that, and then, or misrepresenting an element by not having the yellow in there, and maybe something a bit more orangey, instead of these orangish browns. I mean, something that was more actual orange. I also think that they could have done without of one of these darker shades here. We'll be talking a bit more about them, but they could have done without one of these and come in with a much lighter blue, something, you know, kind of a sky blue to be more representative of air or even of water. Something just really kind of light. This blue to me and this pink both seem to kind of stand out a bit in terms of the color story. In terms of the quality and the pigmentation for most of them is great. I've had trouble with these two shades in particular and the one in the center, which is called Luna, and the three of them have the same problem, which is one, well, these two have a similar problem in that they appear to be duochromes if you look at them, but when you apply them, they're not. This is an ashy gray, and this is just, I don't know, I've only used it a couple of times because it's been so problematic. It comes off on the bit more on the red side, but you do not get that duochrome cast. At least I don't. And all three of these, and honestly, the Fool's Gold to some degree as well, have an issue of sealing up on me, and I have to take tape to clear that out, which is a waste of product to me. But I do admit that that could partly be because of the issues with my eyes. I had some issues with these two today, and I hadn't had issues with them before, and my eyes are acting up a little bit more than usual. So that could easily be because of the issues with my eyes that could be causing them to seal up, because sealing up is from the oils and stuff on your eye, and if my eyes are acting up worse, I'm obviously producing a little bit more. So, but these two colors, they just, I don't know, first of all, this one, Silver Burn, try to do this without blinding you. Silver Burn here feels a lot drier than the rest of these. The other one, which is Fortune Teller, actually feels about the same in terms of creaminess and stuff like that. But Silver Burn does feel a little more dry. Those are those two colors. As you can see, they're supposed to be kind of, I don't know, there's almost, Fortune Teller is supposed to have, it has a bit of a gold glitter to it. Silver Burn looks more like a red and a gray mixed, and that honestly didn't come out very well in the swatch. It doesn't, they just are not very well performing in terms of color. But they are the ones that I've had the most issue with and are more representative of the current Urban Decay quality that kind of annoys most of us who have liked Urban Decay in the past. I have used some of the mattes. As you all know, I'm not a matte girl, so I haven't used all of them. They are a bit more on the powdery side with a bit more fallout for the most part. There are not that many mattes, which is kind of nice. I prefer the shimmers. But the ones that they have are kind of problematic. This color, Firestarter, is also, much like the Silver Burn, is also on the drier side, the more powdery side of the palette. However, the mattes generally do fairly well. One of these will not show up on my skin, but it is a skin tone problem, not a shade problem. I've actually used it today. But these are the mattes that, right here. These 4 swatches. You can't see the one right here, which is Elemental. It's kind of it's almost an orangey brown. It's on the lighter end. And while it doesn't swatch well, I can use it. Today I used it over, no, I'm sorry. That one was Antidote. Antidote is the one that's too light. It's a lighter kind of on the orangey side brown. And I did use it today. I used it a little bit over this color, Electric Air, on the upper part of my lid, as you'll see later. So it does work. It does have color. It just doesn't show up on my skin when I use it by itself. I love the greens and the blues in here. These are just beautiful, beautiful colors. Let's see. This is going to be hard to do because this sweater is just a pain in the butt. I wasn't thinking when I decided on this sweater. I'm having some trouble with the lighter green right now. I have to clear it up because, like I said, I had some issues with my eyes today. So it's not swatching well, but I have to take some tape to it. So, but as you can see, these colors are gorgeous. They do show up very nicely. They're beautifully pigmented. My favorite color in here, surprisingly, is this color Lioness. And it is sort of a deep reddish or brownish red, and it is a beautiful color. I also like this color Moon Rock, which is right below it. And I have used Tectonic, which is another brown that's right nearby. So these are, again, they're shimmery, they're gorgeous. I'm going to put them on this side. So as you can see, the palette swatches really, really well. And it does actually work very well because, like I said, we used it on our face today. I am a royal we now. I have used it, used almost every color. I think the only one I haven't used that much of possibly is the pink and the purple. But I have used them at least once this month, and I didn't have any problems with them. So overall, the pigmentation is good, especially when over, you know, a primer. On my bare hand with no primer, it's a little worse. But let's talk about some of the looks. I am incapable of doing a voiceover, so I'll have to talk about the looks beforehand, and then I'll show you the picture or whatever. So the first look is actually one that this one is based on. It's one that I did in the live. It has green on the lid. I don't believe I did the gold on this one. It has the Tectonic Air, Electric Air with the Antidote over it, and then the Lioness in the crease, which you're not going to be able to see because these are open-eyed looks. This was one of my first times using the palette, and I think it came out fairly well. Can't really tell that way in the pictures. However, that just shows that the greens can really work and perform. In particular, you can see that I was very light-handed with the Lioness on the outside, but again, you can see the colors and it works really well. So here's that one. So with this next one, I actually believe I mixed it with the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea number 3 palette that I got from my BoxyCharm. I used the number 3 palette for under the brow and to lighten up some under the lower lash line. Again, we have more greens. I really did end up liking the greens in here. Not a particular fan of this look. It isn't... it doesn't doesn't really emphasize my eyes the way I like to have them emphasized, especially since I wear glasses. I have to go a little heavier with my makeup so people can see my eyes through my glasses. They're very thick. I'm really blind, practically blind. If I ever did actually get contacts that worked, I think I'd be in trouble. I look like, I don't know, just wow. Anyway, but in this one I used more of the greens on the outside. I think I stuck pretty much with just the greens and the blues for the most part, and then I used the Rainforest palette to kind of neutral some of that out underneath the brow pretty much. Under the eye, I honestly can't tell, but I do believe that I used the Secret Keeper for underneath the lower lash line. It's not showing up. I think my eyes were acting up that day too. They've been doing it a lot lately. This weather has not been helpful. But overall, it's not one of my favorite looks that I've done, but it works. For the last look, I went completely to neutrals. I used all the reds and the browns. So I used Lioness. I used Tectonic over there. I used the Moon Rock. I probably used a little bit of this Fire Starter and kept it more on the red and pink side. Another look that I'm not overly pleased with, but the shadows themselves performed nicely. I think my biggest problem with this palette has been being creative with it, which is kind of odd considering how I am in general with eyeshadow. But here's that look real quick. Again, this one was done to be more on a neutral tone, or more towards the reds. That's why I have the lipstick on than I do at the time. I was just heading for something a bit more, well, a bit less than what I normally wear, which is a lot of bright colors. My cat. All right, so we put the kitten in the back room so she can stop yowling at us. So, yeah, sorry about that. Old lady, poor girl. Anyway, so that last look, like I was saying, I was aiming for something a bit more neutral anyway. The colors are fine. It was the look itself that was a problem for me. That is a problem for me. It's just a little bit more neutral than what I would normally go for, which is very odd. But overall, the palette performed very, very well. And just the three colors. I would say the hardest color to work with in here is the Luna. It just, I don't know, it's practically, it's more like a topper than it is an actual color. So it works as like a topper. It could probably work as a highlight, but as an actual shadow, that would be a difficult one to pull off, I think. It is just too transparent to really do much with, other than to put on top of another shadow or to attempt to use it in the corner of your eye. I didn't use it in the corner. Well, I attempted to use it in the corner of my eye. I probably should have wet my brush, which I did not do at the time. I ended up going with a highlighter from Sparrow Cosmetics, and even that is not standing up too well to what's going on with my face today. So, overall, it's a really, I think it's a really decent palette, and I have been enjoying using it. Of course, I'm also ready to put it away. But before we get on into more overall thoughts, why don't we get into making this look? So, if you want to see that, keep on, just keep tuned, and well, here we go. Alrighty then, so here we are, we're ready to go. I've already put on my primer. I've already got my base for my eyes done. As I hopefully noted a little earlier, I think I noted a little earlier, any look that I'll be doing for this particular series will be based on the art of Amy Brown. She does fairies and dragons, and yeah, I really love her artwork. I'll link her below so you can go visit and take a look. When I initially started this, I initially had picked out the palette and then looked for the art piece, and that didn't quite work out so well. So we are now picking out the art piece first and then choosing the palette for the month based on the art piece. And I've already got February's chosen. Really excited to go ahead and start playing with that. But for January, here is her art that we are basing our look on. It's called Quiet Moments, and it is what I thought it fit perfectly for the palette. And I actually know what I'm doing this time. So what I'm going to do is just do one eye on camera. I will do the other eye off camera. And yeah, so we'll be back after we do all of that. But let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to grab a fluffy brush. This is my Alamar brush. It's a nice fluffy brush. And we are going to take this color Electric Air, and we're going to put that underneath the brow. Just like that. Taking it from my brow, from inner down to my crease, from inner corner to outer. And then we're going to grab a little bit of this Antidote, which is right next to it. Our first set of colors is coming from this line. Take this Antidote, and we're going to actually try to put most of that next to the crease and blend it more upwards than the other way around. So we're going to start in the outer corner close to the crease and go in and then move upwards. Don't need a lot, just trying to add a little bit of that tan in there to bring a little bit of color to the Electric Air. Yes, and I did use the same brush. Okay. I knew I was missing something. Took it down to do something. No wonder I can't see correctly. There we go. There we go. It was looking a little dark. Now we're fine. So just keep putting it in towards the crease until you get a nice bit of peachy color in there. Taking my Juvia's flat eyeshadow brush, I'm going to take this color Secret Keeper. That's going to go on my inner corner, and then Earthbound is going to go on the outer corner. Taking it about halfway in, maybe between a third and halfway in. Just like that. Colors are beautiful. All right, so then we're going to take this Earthbound and this darker green, and we are going to go completely across the rest of the lid. Just like that. There we go. Put this down. So I'm grabbing my e.l.f. Pro, my black e.l.f. Pro for this. We're going into the crease, and we are going to take, we're going to take this color Lioness first, and then we're going to go over it with this color Firestarter, and we're going to put those in the crease. Do my little point thing that I always do. Lioness has become one of my favorite colors, I will say that. It's an interesting reddy brown that really seems to work for me. As you all know, my skin is where browns go to die. So it's nice to have the occasional brown that actually works. And not just because it's shimmery. And then we're going to take a little bit of this just so we can redden it up a little bit. I wanted it to be a bit more red without going into Christmas, because we're trying to, you know, do the kind of the red that's like on the cap of the mushroom and that's in his pants, that sort of ruddy brown. Next, I'm going to take my smaller round brush from my, this is a Luxie mini round that I got in a BoxyCharm, and we are going to take this color Sapphire Dream, and we're going to deepen up the actual crease area itself. That also will help reduce the whole Christmassy look. And of course we go out on our point a little bit. Like that. In fact, I'm just going to take it out just a little bit more. We'll have to fix that when I'll have to fix that when I put on my foundation. Go out. And then I'm going to take those two colors, Lioness, and meet that blue down there. So there's no hole between the colors. Just a little bit. There we go. Then I'm going to take a flat brush. This is a Luxie small shader. I like to use these smaller ones for underneath the lash line. And for that, I'm going to use the color Heavy Water. That's going to go completely across my lower lash line. All the way across. And back. That. And then we are going to blend a little bit. So getting my blender brush and blending these colors together so we have less fierce lines. Just want to kind of meld it all in. Don't overdo it because we don't want it to be muddy. And then we are going to get this fluffy brush, another fluffy brush, my Juvia's Place fluffy brush, and we are going to grab some of this Fool's Gold, and I'm going to brush it in the middle of the lid a little bit. It's not going to actually show up as gold, but it will give a bit of a shine to the middle of the lid. That. So like that, and basically that's it. I'm going to put on the rest of my, finish off my other eye, put on the rest of my face, and then we will come and talk a little bit more about this palette. Okay, so that's our look. This is our look. There we go. I did take the Heavy Water and re-emphasize underneath my lower lash line, and then I brought it out a little bit. We are basing this on fairies, and I do like this way this looks when I do it. You can probably see some holes starting to happen in the center of my eye, unfortunately, and I did have to repack on some color using a sponge tip applicator, and they work fairly well with that. But like I said, I am going to have to take tape to them again. And that's probably my biggest disappointment with them, is that some of them do seal up on me like that. The colors are great. The pigmentation in general is great. A couple of them do not perform as well. That's pretty standard for most palettes. I did buy this at about half price, I think, because once their holiday releases go on sale to be taken out of stock, they do them at half price. So I did buy this at half price. Would I have paid the full price for it? If I had the money and I knew what I know now, probably. The problem shadows are not enough to make the value of this, to make the price of it less appropriate. I'm not even sure how to phrase it. It's only 2 or 3 shadows that I really had difficulty with, and that's not a big enough problem for me to say, no, I would not buy it. I much prefer to buy it on sale with most of their holiday releases that I will be doing. I will be doing it that way anyway, if I'm interested in it, precisely because we do have that question mark since L'Oreal took over the brand. Really wish they hadn't done that. Anyway, I love the packaging. I do love the color story with a few exceptions, and I do love the pigmentation. If you can find it, I do recommend it. Some people have complained about how it's shaped and the amount of space it takes up. I don't have a problem with that. I have larger palettes that take up more space than this. I can kind of see the fact that it being round, not fitting precisely in with the rest of your palettes, but I don't have a problem with that at all. Tarte does round. My Rainforest of the Sea is a round palette, and I've never heard anybody complain about them. I think with this, it's because it's so much larger. The Rainforest in the Sea can be kind of stacked up in a little corner somewhere, and that's not a big deal. This one's a little harder to do that with. However, I do recommend it. I think it's a beautiful palette. So if you can find it, and if you can make sure that it is a genuine Urban Decay Elements palette, and it's whether it's on sale or full price, I think the way it is now, it should be on sale anywhere you find it. I do recommend it if you're interested in it. The colors are great. The formula is great. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to using it more freely, so to speak. The one thing with the 1 month is you do try to make this palette a big part of the looks that you do through the month. So I like a little more variety, but this does give you enough colors. I just need to be more creative with it. So yeah, that's my recommendation. For next month, we are going to be getting into the Lorac Shine Bright palette. I have played with this a little bit, as you can see, but I'm going to get into it more fully. This is one that should be available still, but hopefully by the time I'm done, it'll still be available. I don't know if this one is supposed to be limited edition or not. The Elements was, so that's why you can't find it. Everything I have right now is shiny. It's reflecting my lights. But yes, so this is going to be next month's palette, along with a few things that I picked up for my shop, my stash, which I've already shown. I should say it's going to be this month's palette, because this is going to be going up in February. But yeah, so that's what's going on for February. And that's it for today. And I hope you like what you've seen, and that if you've not subscribed yet, that you will subscribe. If you do subscribe, you probably want to hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. I upload 4 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. And sometimes we get a bonus upload. We're going to get bonus uploads in the summer for sure, but this month we should also get a bonus upload. My son should be getting his Loot Crate. If you're part of my notification squad, check your bell, because they keep going off. If you don't subscribe, well, we would be sad and disappointed, but you're always welcome to come back. Our casa is always open to you. And if you do come back, don't forget to bring your cup of tea. Okay, so maybe I needed more tea leaves. It might just need more time. Probably more tea leaves. Your girl likes her tea a little on the strong side. Yeah, it's not being strong today. tossing that back in since I'm doing a couple other videos and hoping that it'll strengthen up by the time I'm done. You all have a great day.